Hello everyone, my name is Adelanda and this is Solarpunking, where we discuss solarpunk ideology, things we can do in our communities to make them better, and ways to build the world that we want to live in. So lately I've been thinking about Scientology, and I know that is a wild way to start off this episode, but I've been thinking about how they managed to build a community of people with shared values and actually are able to thrive as an alternative lifestyle in this country. Obviously, the exploitation, abuse, and cultist religion aspects are a major problem, but they were the first community to pop up in my head as I was thinking about how it was even possible to build something like that, and it just made me really curious. But what would it take to actually build a strong community that could be safe and functional within our current culture? Part of me thinks the reason why Scientology has been left alone to do whatever they want is because they aren't a threat to the dominant culture the way a solarpunk society would be. Scientology is literally organized under a fascist model. They have a system that gives all power and authority to central leadership and maintain a very strict, dominant hierarchy, which forces their members to progress through levels of loyal behavior in order to access privileged circles. They are controlled spiritually, which steals autonomy and free expression from their members and their family, with the aforementioned central power having tight control of the beliefs and behaviors of the members. And they push a coercive and financially abusive fee structure, which, along with penalties and isolation, keep people trapped within the cult should they ever wake up and decide they want to leave. That kind of fits right under the socio-political structure in this country at the moment. In the end, they are still subjugating their members by keeping them in bondage through financial and social restraints, in the same way the United States has done for centuries. And every 2 years, we're made to feel as though we have a choice in whether we want to participate in this game show. But do we really? The United States has done an excellent job of instilling the virtues of individualism, capitalism, and white supremacy in its citizens. So how is it really a fair fight against hundreds of millions of indoctrinated voters that have consistently voted against equity, justice, freedom, and the extremely low bar of health care for everyone? I don't believe that's a real choice. And to be clear, because I don't want anyone to misunderstand me or twist my words, I still think you should vote. Because even though it's a dull sword we're using to defend ourselves, it's better than no weapon at all. At least until we can get better weapons. Local politics especially directly affect your life, so you should always advocate for yourself and your community in any way that you can. So, although none of the tools Scientology uses can help us build a healthy, structured society, there are some ideas that stood out to me that would be useful if we gutted out the damaged parts and used the bones to build something much better. First, having a clear mission and values, which under a solarpunk framework would help to encourage people to support and protect the ideals that make solarpunk strong, namely social justice, inclusivity, conservationism, mutual aid, solidarity, regenerative practices, technological stewardship, and decentralization. I'm sure I've probably missed something in that list, but I think you get what I'm going for here. I've mentioned before that having a culture that people are proud of and want to be a part of is way more valuable than forced false patriotism. Shared practices that build a sense of belonging, which under a solarpunk framework would be things that encourage creativity and community, like athletics, arts festivals, cultural holidays and celebrations, and monuments that focus on bringing people together instead of making profits for corporations. The greatest example I can think of to show the contrast in what I'm talking about here is a pride parade that functions solely to celebrate love, relationships, and community without featuring a single corporate sponsor. I can barely envision what that would even look like, but I know it's possible. A focus on individual and communal growth. This looks like encouraging people to learn useful skills or explore their passion. It means public education, community centers that hold classes and host seminars and book clubs, and makerspaces and intramural sports. But without the gatekeeping and barriers that can sometimes deter people from exploring new things. And lastly, opportunities for service within the community. People feel a sense of pride in things they help build, and anyone who has volunteered before knows what that feels like. This looks like mentoring programs, creative camps, environmental stewardship. There's an unlimited amount of potential here. And I know I talk about this stuff a lot, but I'm just sort of brainstorming here, so you'll see a lot of these same concepts pop up again and again. So how do we build this? Honestly, I don't know yet, and I've just got my foot in the door. I saw a video the other day by the Dark Left that got me thinking, though, and I want to share it with you to inquire what your thoughts are about it.
Okay, so wild idea. 2 presidents, 2 systems. You vote red, you get a red card. You vote blue, you get a blue card. But for the next 4 years, that card is your life. You need healthcare? Present your card. Public transportation? Card. You go to a restaurant? Show the card. You're trying to file taxes or get disaster relief or apply for a job, even to get utilities. Yeah, you're going to need that card. Red card holders get the policies they voted for. No Medicaid expansion, no union protections, no student loan relief, no restaurants with immigrant employees or even food picked by immigrant hands, no federal disaster aid, unless of course the hurricane was Jesus approved, and absolutely no abortion access, even if your mistress needs one. And since we're talking about accountability, red card holders only get the benefits their states actually pay for. So no more blue state bailouts, no more taking in more federal money than you contribute. So if you're living off that $1,100 a month in blue benefits now, you better learn how to make that red $300 stretch. Roads? Your problem. Bridges? Good luck. Those inspections don't pay for themselves. Hospitals? Shuttered. But hey, until the Wi-Fi gets cut off, you can still yell about socialism on Facebook. But blue card holders, you're going to get infrastructure, you're going to get safety nets, you're going to get the public schools that actually teach history. Red card holders can still ignore science, but blue card holders are going to get the freedom to follow it. And I promise you this, after one term, just one, you're going to see a flood of red cards turning blue. Because nothing exposes bad political ideology like being forced to live under it. No scapegoats, no whataboutisms, just the raw, unfiltered consequences of your vote. So let's try it. Let's split the country, not by secession, just by accountability, because talk is cheap and reality is. And if you want to follow me over on Instagram, same handle, links in the bio. I am not the Dark Left. We're the Dark Left. Please join me in calling out the bullshit and bringing some sanity back to the conversation.
So he's obviously talking about liberals and conservatives here, but I can't help but wonder if that idea wouldn't work for something like Solarpunk community building. You sign up for it like a membership and you're eligible for the benefits of that membership. We could encourage voluntary financial contributions or an income-based fee or acts of service to maintain membership at the start, but as it grows and invites more people, it could gain financial stability and require less from each member. I don't know, it was just an idea that stood out to me. If you have an idea like this one you'd like to share, leave it in the comments, even if you disagree. Honestly, it kind of sucks not to have many examples of how communities have been built that aren't cult-based, corporate-based, or pose such a threat to the U.S. economy that they were bombed out of existence. But there is so much potential here. If I had to take a stab at it today, right now, with the limited information that I have, I would say step 1 would be defining core values clearly right off the bat. Make them public, simple, and easy to understand. And as I've mentioned before, they're mutual aid, sustainability, restorative justice, creative collaboration, etc., etc. Step 2 would be deciding the community structure. There are plenty of ways to do this. It could be a democratic cooperative. It can be other things that I haven't learned about yet. Financial resources should be managed openly and with transparency, encouraging voluntary contributions of money and acts of service. Step 3 would be to encourage people to join by making all resources open and accessible. This could be workshops, discussion circles, or something like a Skillshare. Step 4 would be fostering connection without isolation by encouraging members to keep their careers, families, and friendships outside the group. The community should enrich their broader lives instead of replacing them. Step 5 is ensuring accountability by maintaining a clear, independent process for resolving conflicts and removing abusive leaders. People should also be able to opt out freely if they decide that Solarpunk is not for them. Ultimately, the goal is to build a community that people want to be a part of so that they help it grow and prosper. Check out Andrewism's How to Build a Solarpunk City to get an idea of what a thriving Solarpunk city might look like. I genuinely think that if people saw the benefits of a society that values people, culture, and the environment, they would choose to walk away from hyper-capitalist authoritarianism. They would choose to be part of something greater. That's all I have for you today, but before I go, I want to leave you with a clip from How Solarpunk Could Solve Capitalism's Major Greed Problem by M's Wild World. I definitely recommend checking out their channel as well.
I want you to close your eyes for a second. Picture with me. You wake up to the sun streaming through your windows. No alarm needed. The mattress beneath you is made from local wool and cotton, wrapped in linen woven by your friend who runs the local textile workshop. You stretch, breathe in the fresh air, and step into clothes made of natural fibers and full-grain, durable leather boots. You step outside with your coffee, greeted by the smell of pine and the fresh scent of rain. You see your neighbors, some family, some chosen, out tending to their morning tasks. It feels bizarre still in a way to see people out. The way you grew up, most were holed up in their homes, sifting and consuming silently on their phones. Neighbors rarely spoke to each other. You only ever saw them in passing, stepping out of their cars, only to quickly disappear behind the closed doors of the zone of isolation. The suburbs were not a place for you, where perfection was expected and loneliness thrived. But now, things are different. You no longer sit at a desk. Instead, you're out in the garden, picking fresh food for the day. Work here isn't a chore. There's no company or boss. People contribute based on their skills and passions, creating a fair exchange of goods and services. Together, the community moves with purpose, crafting homes, making clothes, or maintaining solar arrays. Instead of a workforce divided by labor, narrowly focused on one type of skill, we have now entered a new renaissance. For wherever there is a need, there is a market.
Thanks for listening to the 10th episode of Solarpunking. You can catch new episodes every Sunday this summer, where I will talk about solarpunk ideology, things we can do in our communities to make them better, and ways to build the world that we want to live in. Why I can't believe that summer is almost over. If you've enjoyed listening in so far, consider sharing this podcast with your friends and family members that you think would also like to join the movement. Also, consider leaving me a comment to let me know what you liked and didn't like, or if you have mutual aid resources you want me to look into. If you have excess funds, consider donating to the 1510 Foundation. The 1510 Foundation fills a void in the animal welfare world by sponsoring dogs unlikely to be adopted due to behavioral or medical issues. Until next week, stay hydrated and motivated.